Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Inspiring Chapter series. Today we are reading excerpts from a book called The Flame of Attention by J. Krishnamurti or Jiddu Krishnamurti. The chapter is titled It is the lack of listening acutely that brings up the image and hence the reaction. This is chapter 7 in the book, and it is taken from a talk that Jiddu Krishnamurti had given in Ojai, California in May 1982. And the most surprising thing about the content in this chapter is how relevant it is even in 2026, almost 44 years later. And you would be surprised when you hear these excerpts that nothing really has changed from 44 years ago. Small content warning is obligatory here, I think. Some of the things that Jiddu Krishnamurti says are very direct observations of the situation of the world. So if you have difficulty to digest that, please remember one, this was a statement made by a person who is no longer here. Two, they are direct observations of the world, it is not a judgment. Three, if you have difficulty with these type of observations, you may consider clicking away from the video at this time. So let's get into the excerpts. Excerpt 1. Let us together observe without any bias as an American, Argentinian, British, French, Russian, or Asian. Let us observe without any motive, which is rather difficult, and see clearly, if we can, what is going on. As one travels around the world, one is aware that there is a great deal of dissension, discord, disagreement, disorder, a great deal of confusion, and uncertainty. One sees the demonstrations against one particular form of war and also the extensive preparations for another war. The spending of untold money on armaments, one nation against another preparing for eventual war. There are national divisions. There is a national honor for which thousands are willing and proud to kill others. There are religious divisions: the Catholic, the Hindu, the Protestant, the Muslim, the Buddhist. There are sectarian divisions. There is spiritual authority in the world of one religion or the other. So, everywhere there is constant division leading to disorder, conflict, destruction, and destruction. There is attachment to a particular nationality, particular religion, hoping thereby to find some kind of outward or inward security. Then there are the phenomena that are taking place in the world of which we are all a part. I am sure what we all observe is the same thing. There is isolation taking place, not only for each human being, but isolation of groups which are bound by belief, by faith, by some ideological conclusion. It is the same in totalitarian states and in the so called democratic countries with their ideals. Ideals, beliefs, dogmas, and rituals are separating mankind. This is actually what is going on in the external world, and it is a result of our own inner psychological living. We are isolated human beings, and the outer world is created by each one of us. We each have our own particular profession, own particular belief, own conclusions and experiences to which we cling, and thereby each one is isolating himself. This self centered activity is expressed outwardly as nationalism, religious intolerance, even if that group consists of 700 million people, and at the same time, each one of us is isolating himself. We are creating the world divided by nationalism, which is a glorified form of tribalism. Each tribe is willing to kill another tribe for its belief, for its land, for its economic trade. We all know this, at least those who are aware, who listen to the radio, see the television and newspapers, and so on. And there are those who say this cannot be changed. There is no possibility for the human condition to be transformed. They say the world has been going on like this for thousands and thousands of years and is created by the human condition, and that the condition can never bring about a mutation in itself. They say that there can be modification, maybe, but man will be basically what he is, bringing about division in himself and in the world. There are those all over the world who advocate social reform of various kinds, but they have not brought about a deep fundamental mutation in human consciousness. This is the state of the world. How do we look at it? What is our response to it as human beings? Do we leave it to the politicians? Do we seek new leaders, new saviors? What is our responsibility? This is a serious problem which we are talking over together. Do we go back to the old traditions because human beings, unable to solve the problem, return to the old habitual traditions of the past? The more there is confusion in the world, the greater is the desire and urge of some to return to past illusions, past traditions, past leaders, and the so called saviors. And so, if one is aware of all this as one must be, what is one's response? Not partial, but what is the total response to the whole phenomena that is taking place in the world? Jiddu Krishnamurti goes on to make more observations along the same lines, and he asks people certain other questions. Then he continues. Technologically, the scientists have helped to reduce disease, to improve communication, but they're also increasing the devastating power of the weapons of war, the power to murder vast numbers of people with one blow. The scientists are not going to save mankind, nor are the politicians, whether in the East or the West or any part of the world. Politicians seek power, position, and play all kinds of trick in human thought. It is exactly the same in the so called religious world, the authority of the hierarchy, in the name of some image which human thought has created. We have isolated, separated, but we have not been able to solve our problems. Although highly educated, cunning, self centered, and capable of extraordinary things externally, inwardly we are more or less what we have been for thousands of years. We compete, we destroy each other, we hate, which is what is actually going on in the present time. Jiddu Krishnamurti then goes on to reflect on what could be done to remove these separations. He keeps describing the various problems that exist due to the isolation of human beings and the separation we see from each other. And he then comes to the section where he says how this can be addressed, how it can become a way of life. But for that, he says one must understand what exactly is happening. He brings in the concept of why we react the way we react, why there are wars, why there are people hating each other, killing each other. He says it is a reaction in trying to defend an image that we create for ourselves. Continuing the excerpt, Jiddu Krishnamurti says, what is it that is hurt? One says that it is I who am hurt. What is that I? From childhood, one has built up an image of oneself. One has many, many images. Not only the images that people give one, but also the images that one has built for himself. As an American, that is an image. As a Hindu or a specialist, the I is the image that one has built about oneself as a great or very good man, and it is that image that gets hurt. One may have an image of oneself as a great speaker, writer, spiritual being, leader. These images are the core of oneself. When one says one is hurt, one means that the images are hurt. If one has an image about oneself and another comes along and says, "Don't be an idiot," one gets hurt. The image which has been built about oneself as not being an idiot is me, and that gets hurt. One carries that image and that hurt for the rest of one's life, always being careful not to be hurt, warding off any statement of one's idiocy. The consequences of being hurt are very complex. From that hurt, one may want to fulfill oneself by becoming this or that, so as to escape that terrible hurt. So one has to understand it. Now, is it possible to have no image about oneself at all? Why does one have an image about oneself? Another may look at a very nice, clear, bright eyed, intelligent faced person and one wants to be like him. And if one is not, one gets hurt. Comparison may be one of the factors of being hurt psychologically. Then why does one compare? Can one live life in this modern world without a single image? The speaker may say that it is possible, that it can be done. But it requires a great deal of energy if one is to find out whether it is possible never to be hurt, and further, whether it is possible to live a life without a single belief. For it is belief which is dividing human beings so that they are destroying each other. So, can one live without a single belief and never have an image about oneself? That is real freedom. It is possible, when one is called an idiot and has an image about oneself, to give total attention to that statement as it is said. When one has an image about oneself and one is called an idiot, one reacts instantly. As the reaction is immediate, give attention to that immediacy. That is, listen very clearly to the suggestion that one is an idiot. Listen to it attentively. When one listens with complete attention, there is no reaction. It is a lack of listening acutely that brings up the image and hence the reaction. Suppose I have an image about myself because I have traveled all over the world, etc. You come along and say, "Look, old boy, you're not as good as the other guru or the other leader or some other teacher, some other idiot. You are yourself an idiot." I listen to that completely. Give complete attention to what is being said. When there is total attention, there is no forming of a center. It is only inattention that creates the center. A mind which has been slack, a brain which has been confused, disturbed, neurotic, which has never actually faced anything, which has never demanded of itself its highest capacity, can it give such total attention? When there is total attention to that statement, that one is an idiot, it has already lost its significance. Because when there is attention, there is not a center which is reacting. Oh, hi. 1st May 1982. End of the excerpt reading. In the Indian Shastra, also in the Guru Parampara system, after one has evolved to a certain point of understanding, the Guru will tell the Shishya, the disciple, to observe the people around him. Observe what they are talking. And when you observe people talking, you realize that it is all just nonsense at the end of the day. If you didn't know the language, it would sound like gibberish to you anyway. It's just because you know a language and there are meanings associated with it, and these meanings have some meaning to the image that you create for yourself, that things hurt us, that things become painful, that words can take away so much from us. But at the end of the day, if you really, really observe people talking, if you really observe the word that is being thrown at you, somebody calls you a fool, somebody calls you stupid, somebody slaps you, somebody pushes you down, somebody really physically hurts you also, what is it at the end of the day? It is only something if we have associated some meanings to it because we have an image about ourselves. If we just watch it for what it is, we realize that it is nothing. And that is the way towards the moksha that we are all trying to aim for. So, thank you for listening. And if you're liking this format, if you like the Inspiring Series chapter, do consider subscribing and liking. I will also be starting a series on the Indian knowledge system perspectives on psychology. So do watch out for that and do subscribe and leave the notifications on so you know when the topics are coming out. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.